Are you tired of getting your ass kicked in Normandy Arena and Operation Overlord? Well, guess what? In this video, we're going to give you guys a guide and some tricks to help you out with that. Greetings, Commanders! My name is Eagle, and welcome back to another video of Kiss of War. And in this video, we're going to give you guys a full guide with some advanced tricks and tactics for Normandy Arena and Operation Overlord. So the video content will be as following. We're going to be first talking about four very important topics. The first one will be gonna be the marches positioning, like where you should position your marches when you are playing defensively and when you are on the offense. Also, we're going to be talking about some officer combinations, like what different combinations do and what you should be focusing on and worrying about. And third thing, we're going to be talking about the battleship, how it's contributing to these events and where you should exactly place it. And last thing, we're going to be talking about choosing your opponents. Once we finish these topics, we're going to be giving you guys some tricks that I personally absolutely love that will guarantee you some extra rewards in this event to exceed and fast forward your development of your officers. Now, before we start the video, you can see below that we left sections for everything that we're going to be talking about. So if you're already familiar with one of these topics, you can jump to the next one to check out any topic as well. And we have also included captions with multiple languages. And if you don't find your language, you can leave me in the comments below that you request that this language would be added to this video, and I'd be more than happy to add a caption for that language as well. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. So starting off with our first topic, which is positioning. Let's first take the defensive positioning. What you need to be worrying about or doing in the defensive positioning is that you have to make sure that your defense is impenetrable and that players who are around your level or even a bit higher than your level are having a hard time defeating your marches. Now, how do you secure that, or how do you make sure that this is actually the scenario that is happening? First things first, we have to explain some types of marches. First thing, we have the damage dealing marches or the burst damage marches. We have the AoE marches, we have the sustainability marches, and then we have the units countering techniques. Now, let's take those one by one. The burst damage dealing marches are basically marches that deal high damage but have lower sustainability. Such march is Linda and Catherine. These two together deal a hell lot of damage, but they have lower sustainability. This is why, as you guys can see, I have them here in the back, so you would only take counterattack damage and not direct damage, because I don't want them to be taking normal attacks and losing so many troops in the beginning, and I want them to be effective in the whole fight. Now, AoE damage are such targets such as Chloe or even Grace. Those targets like deal damage in an area of effect damage, meaning that they deal damage to multiple targets, and they are ideally placed in positions that they can actually deal damage to multiple targets, meaning that in the middle. Because once I place Chloe in the middle, he's going to be trying to counter all my marches in this area, and once she uses her active skill, I'll be able to hit up to 5 targets in this area, which will deal a hell lot of damage and will be much more effective in the fight. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is higher sustainability targets or sustainability marches, meaning that, for example, Natalia and Grace. Now, this march over here has extremely high sustainability, and the reason being is that Natalia has a lot of buffs that will reduce the damage taken and mitigate some damage and also heal her troops. And they also, combined together, they deal a hell lot of counterattack damage, meaning that this march can sustain on its own without having backup to back it up behind it, because simply this march is just that strong to actually sustain a lot of damage and deal some decent amount of damage. It won't be dealing as much damage as, for example, Lilith or Linda over here, as you guys can see. Like, these two combos are burst damage combos, and I have them behind there so that they can deal the maximum amounts of damage. Now, why is this combination actually solid? And this is where the troops or units counter nature comes in. Now, as you guys know, there are 3 main types of units in the game. There are tanks, anti-tanks, and infantry. And each type actually counters the other. Anti-tanks counter tanks, tanks counter infantry, and infantry counters anti-tanks. Now, you have to understand these counters and combinations, because otherwise if I put, for example, Lilith and Maria on this side, then what will happen is that they can place 2 infantry marches in this side, and they would be dealing so much more damage than they supposed to. Even if they had less troops or even worse officers, they might still be able to win the fight just because simply of their training, of the nature of the troops. If you have a fully trooped training, like if you have maxed out the training on one officer, they might be able to deal 20% more damage just because of the unit difference. And that is a huge amount, and it could just simply like change the whole battle, even if you are weaker, you have weaker officers than your enemy. Now, this is why you have to always put 2 marches of different types of troops behind each other. And this way, I ensure that if he puts an infantry march over here, my Linda march will be dealing so much damage to that infantry march, so it actually kinda takes out the advantage that they have on my anti-tank, because simply I'm dealing so much damage back with my tank march, and this way I secure some sort of like a fair fight without having the unit advantage over each other. Now, I have done the same thing with my Chloe and Lilith march over here. If they were to place a tank march in this lane, my Lilith would be able to destroy them. And in this one over here, as you know, one of these marches has to be left out on its own. But this is why I put my sustainability march on this side, because even if it's on its own, or even if it's done like you have anti-tank marches against you, this unit over here will be able to sustain for some time until these units win their lanes. And even if this unit dies, it will be like almost the end of the fight. And if I have won these lanes, I would definitely win the fight afterwards. So this is why you have to put your sustainability march always alone to the right, and then your other marches or your other main marches in this area over here. Now, it doesn't really matter which marches you are using or which officers combinations you are using, which we're going to be talking about in the next section. What most matters is that you're using 2 different officer types or 2 combinations in these lanes. Now, you will be wondering, how am I using Chloe with only 1 officer type? I'm actually not using her with only 1 unit type. What I'm doing is that I have Evelyn in the like secondary over here as a 5-star officer. And what she is doing is actually she's healing all these troops right next to her, and she's giving them also generating extra rage, which also gives me higher support damage. And Chloe is dealing some debuffs to the enemies with her AoE as well. And paired with that, because Evelyn is an infantry march, what I did is that I maxed out the infantry over here so that I can get all the benefits from Evelyn and her support tree. And also what I did is put 100 of these and 100 of these, and the reason being is that Chloe has a passive skill that will give her extra damage or extra attack once she has multiple types of troops. Sorry about that. Once she has multiple types of troops in the fight. So this means that she would be dealing maximum damage from the Chloe's passive, and also taking all the talent tree from Evelyn as well. Now, this positioning over here is perfect for defense, and you can use it on whatever combination of troops that you currently have. Now, if we were to switch to offense and see like if we have someone that is actually some sort of the similar power to what we have right now, so that we can demonstrate how we counter these, like if they followed the same technique, how we can actually sort of counter that technique, or at least have a fair fight in that technique. Now let's go looking for some enemies that are sort of in our realm. I don't think we'll find anybody that is in our realm. Okay, we found... okay, Captain Marvel over here. I'm really sorry, Captain Marvel. This is one of my friends in the game, but we have to demonstrate this fight. Now, I know that my marches are a bit stronger, but I want to show you exactly how this technique works. Now, Captain Marvel is actually doing a good job on countering those. So as you can see, this is an infantry march over here, which I can use Linda against. Now, I don't have the same marches that I had in the defense, which kind of sucks, but that's completely fine. We can still win this fight. And then for this one is actually tricky, because what she has Abigail in the front, which is a tank march, and then followed by an Angelica. Now, the way to counter that is you put the same march that is in the front. So whatever is in the front, put the same march. So for example, we have Natalia versus Abigail. Natalia has extremely high counterattack damage, meaning that once paired with Grace, she can deal so much damage to the secondary march, which is Abigail. And having the nature, having the nature of Angelica, having an infantry march, that means even extra damage. So we're dealing so much damage to that march over there without having to target it directly, and just by using the counterattack. And then I will have to put Lilith in the back over here, and what she will do is basically take out the Abigail march that is right in the front over here by dealing direct damage to that. And this is basically the way you can sort of counter that in a sense. Now, over here we have 2 marches left. We have a Grace and we have a Jessica. I'm gonna leave those as is because my Chloe right now is on anti-tanks, which is exactly what I want, because I want anti-tanks for Grace, and I have also another anti-tank march in the back, which also kind of helps me out, take out this Grace. And let's go for a fight right now. Now, obviously, this is gonna be an easy fight. It's like, because simply my officers are kind of better a little bit. We can try that out more in Overlord once we have like a more like stronger opponent than our officers. If we were to look that out right now and try this technique, let's go ahead and quickly do that in Overlord. So I'm looking for something in the realm. Okay, so this guy seems to have some solid officers. Now his officers are kind of better than mine at this point. And another information about Overlord. So before we start this fight, I want to talk a bit about Overlord generally. Now, if you are just beginning in the game, Overlord is going to be a struggle, and it's going to be really hard to reach high ranks. And this is completely normal, just simply because of the fact that some servers are much older than newer servers, so they have maxed out officers already, and it's just really hard to compete with those servers. But we're going to give you some tricks right now that might help you get some extra rewards if you are willing to go all the way over there. Now, in this scenario over here, I want my Chloe to be in the middle so that she can actually deal with those multiple marches. Like, because my Chloe is maxed out and she can deal damage to and debuff all these enemies. Now, the other thing that we see over here is that they have a mixed march and then an infantry, like an anti-tank march over there. And what I would do is I would go with my anti-tank march because I don't want their anti-tank march to take advantage of that. And then I would go with my Linda back here because I want to deal maximum amounts of damage to that mixed march and take it out immediately. Afterwards, we see that they have a Catherine over here along with Angelica. This is where I will put my Natalia, and then followed by my Lilith, which I think we can add some troops over here just to make sure that we have everything set up. So I'm showing you guys quickly my my marches, or what I'm using right now, so that you can actually benefit from that. And if you have those officers, you can use them as well. Now, the battleship is currently with Natalia. We can keep that with Natalia, or we can use it on Chloe. I'm going to actually switch that up to Chloe, just because for the sake of this round. So let's go ahead and put the battleship on Chloe, or with the Chloe march right now. All right, so we are ready right now for this fight. Let's go ahead and see how this fight goes. As you guys can see, that enemy is kind of a bit stronger than I am at this point, from the things over here, the power, and they are dealing some high amounts of damage. Let's see if we can actually win this fight. I doubt we can actually win this, but I mean, we're gonna give it a try. So we're gonna wait a bit and see what is going on right now. So the battleship has been activated as well. We have Natalia shooting too. We have multiple marches right now. They're dealing some solid damage over there, but my Chloe is debuffing, and my Maria looks like she is dead already. Okay. They have another march that is dead. 2 marches of theirs that are dead right now. They only have Angelica, Grace, and Jessica left. My Chloe is dealing some solid damage over there. We don't want the Chloe march to die because it has the battleship, and if it dies, basically the battleship is out. So far we're actually doing great. Natalia is doing great. This march, even though they have like a counter march for this one, but Jessica is already down by a lot, so I think we will win this side as well. Plus, we have a very healthy 2 marches over here, so which will be able to take out the rest of the marches. Now, the Chloe march is unfortunately gonna die But the Linda March is winning, and the Angelica March, like the Natalia March, is winning. And so far, we are 3 versus 1. We should be able to take them out, and that was a win over there. They had stronger officers, and as you guys might have seen from that, I don't think we can see that from the history, but they have much stronger officers than we did. But we still won the fight simply because of the combination of troops that we used to counter their troops and to place our troops in a smart way. Now, talking about officer combinations, as you guys know, there are multiple officer combinations in the game. You can use support officer combinations, healing ones, damage ones, sustainability, and whatnot. But most importantly, what I wanted to mention in this video is the primary and secondary officers, and which ones should you go for? Now, as you know, the primary officer dictates how many troops or how much your troop capacity is in these rounds. So you need your primary officer to be the highest level. But on the other hand as well, you don't need to neglect your secondary officer, because as we know, if your secondary officer is 5 stars, then all their talent tree will be also activated in the battle, which means that that's a huge bonus, or you're getting like a huge bonus in the battle versus your enemies. Now, for that reason, you have to make some sort of a balance between which officers that you will put on a primary and which officers you put on a secondary. My personal recommendation for you guys, as you might have seen from this march over here, I have my Linda at level 59 and my Grace at level 51. My Catherine at level 51. Now this way, I'm utilizing Catherine's talent tree, but also I didn't level her up all the way to 60 because that's going to take a lot of experience, and I rather leveled my Linda up to 59, which will give me a huge troop capacity boost. So over here, I'm getting the troop boost that I'm getting from Linda, and also I'm getting the talent tree, the whole talent tree of Catherine, because she is 5 stars. Now, same goes for example, this march over here, but this march has a bit of a different, like a bit of a twist. My Natalia is at level 50, she's only 4 stars. But my Grace is at level 53, and she is 5 stars. Now you ask me, why am I not using my Grace, which is 5 stars, that is level 53, that might actually give me some more troops. So if I were to switch this over here, as you might see, I'll get like probably 4,500 more troops. Well, simply because of, if you look at the total power over here, I believe that actually might give you an answer. Yeah, so the total power over here did change when I actually switched that up. Now, this one is a good indicator that will give you like what exactly I'm talking about, which is basically that if you put your Grace on a secondary, you're getting all that talent tree bonuses. So that 4,500 extra troop capacity didn't actually break even the power that you're getting from all the bonuses that the talent tree of Grace has to offer. Plus, Grace has a defense talent tree, which is extremely powerful in these like in this mode as a sustainability march. This is why having to choose an officer that is 5 stars is sometimes better than having some extra troops added to that specific march capacity. And this is always a trade that you have to do. You have to mix up your officers and look at the total power and try different scenarios until you get something that is actually more powerful than what you currently have. Ideally, you need all your secondary officers to be 5 stars and your primary officers to be the highest level. This is why I always prefer leveling up my primary officers to the epic ones. I focus on the epic ones first, and then I go to the legendary, because this way it's much faster. You can actually progress much faster in these game modes. And but sometimes also it is not bad to focus on one legendary officer. Like for example, I have my Lilith at 59 because simply she's a badass. Let's be honest. My Jessica is not even close to that, but I do have a lot of good skills on her. Like I have her at a high rank, which helps out a lot in the battle. This is why this march over here is pretty solid. Now, this is mainly what you want to understand. Now, if you want more details about officer combinations, like specific officer combinations, like what do I pair with Linda, or what do I pair with Grace, or what do I pair with Jessica, I will leave a full playlist of every single officer, or almost every single officer in the game right now. We still have probably 3 more officers to cover. We have Jessica, and I believe Lubna and Ophelia probably to cover in that list, but we're going to do these in the next couple of days. Now, that list has a full information of how to build your officers individually and which officers should you pair them up depending on what role you're trying to use them for. So I would definitely highly recommend checking out that playlist after you watch this video if you want to utilize and maximize the efficiency of your marches on the field. Now let's talk about the battleship placement. So if you haven't known yet like this before, the battleship has boosts for every single army that you have. It doesn't really matter where you place it. The boost will apply to a global, like as a global effect to all your marches on the battlefield. Now, that being said, the battleship has also a huge AoE range. So if you manage to place it anywhere on the field, that would be fine. But if you're using, for example, this type of like positioning, which I do not recommend, and you put your battleship on your Lilith march, for example, that would not be good because the only marches that you're going to hit are the ones in these 2 routes over here. So where you should put your battleship, it's basically depending on the AoE, and to maximize the chances of hitting all the enemies on the battlefield, I would highly recommend putting it in the middle and in the back, like in the one that is in the back, like in the march that is backwards. This is because you want your battleship, or the march that is holding the battleship, to sustain as much as possible. So having it backwards will give it more sustainability in the fight. That's one thing. And another thing, it will ensure that it would hit multiple troops. Like if they have all their troops over here in this area and these 3 lanes, it will help simply all their troops or all their marches that are in that range, and it will give you some huge, like it will deal some huge damage, give a lot of debuffs. And when you have it at a higher level of skill, like for example, when you have it at level 6 or level 7 skill, you would also get some buffs for yourself as well, which is kind of solid too. Now, if you want to know more information about the battleship and like how to know like which path should you follow for its modification, I'm gonna leave also a card at the top that will give you some hints and help you out with your building your path over there. Now, talking about choosing the right opponents, as you know, in Normandy Arena, it's much easier to choose the right opponents. You just look at their power over there, and it will tell you like a great indicator of exactly how much troops they have, because their research and their like whatever tier they unlocked of troops doesn't really matter, because simply it's always tier 3s that will be fighting, and the only thing that matters over there are their officers and what combinations of officers that they are using. So if you see that they have higher level officers and they're using like a solid combination, and they have them like positioned in a really nice way that you really cannot beat, just try and like fight someone else, because that way it would be like you would have a higher chance of winning that fight. Otherwise, if you look at Overlord, now over here, there are a couple of tricks that you would like to, I would like to share with you guys. Now, first things first, as you guys see, this power over here is a really good indicator, but it's not the only indicator that you should be looking at. For example, let's take this guy into like an example. So this guy over here has 2,800 power. Now, obviously, his officers are pretty solid, to be honest, and they are much higher ranked than I am. But if you click on his profile, you would see the power over here that he has. Now, this guy over here has probably like unlocked tier 5s or very close to unlocking them, meaning that his military research is very close to maximum. So my military research is kind of close to maximum, but for example, if you are at 40 million right now power, I would not recommend fighting this guy, even if you have the same officers as he did, simply because his military research will outpower yours, and he would have more buffs in the battlefield than you do, and you would eventually lose. This is why always click on their profile to see what power they currently are, and sort of take a wild guess on what kind of research they have like reached so far. And this way you would know that, hey, like even if they had good officers, their research might be shit. So I can take on these guys, especially if these guys are from a zone like that is newer than your zone. Like for example, if you're from zone 30 and they are from zone 45, they are like most likely might have good officers, but they will not have that high research. So always check out the power over here. Now this guy over here has 42 million power. I have 46.5. So even though he has maxed out officers over here, we might be able to win this fight. So let's go ahead and check this out. If this kind of works out, I'll be so happy, because this kind of demonstrates what I'm trying to talk to like over here. Now let's demonstrate this fight once again. So what we're trying to do over here is going for Natalia and in the front, because he has a Grace over here, and I want to hit that Angelica hard in the back. So we have the Natalia in the front along with the Grace backing her up. We have the Lilith to hit that Grace, and we have also a Chloe in the middle for their Natalia, and we probably would require Linda in the middle, because I want to take that Natalia out quickly, even though they have an Abigail, which is kind of extremely hard to take out. Like, this march is gonna be a pain in the ass. But I mean, we're gonna try to take that out. And I have my Maria versus Jessica, which is kind of a lost case, to be honest. I also would like to probably put my Maria over here, because I want to neglect his healing, because he has 2 healers over here, right? And if you look at my Maria march, I do have a Diana that is pretty solid in terms of blocking the healing of their troops. So he has 2 healers over here, actually three healers, because Evelyn is over there too. So if I manage to hit my Diana's ability on his Natalia, I would take out like 30% of his healing effectiveness for both Natalia and Abigail, and that actually could be a huge difference. And then I would switch up my Linda with my Lilith, because I don't want my Linda being taken out by Jessica, because he probably has Jessica and Maria at very high level, which probably gonna beat my ass over there. So let's try out this combo and see if we can actually win this fight. I'm gonna fast forward this fight. I'm gonna just look at the 10 seconds over here. So as you guys can see, the new pincer attack effect is over here, and they're already dealing more damage. I can see that they're dealing a lot more damage. I think we will lose this fight, but let's go ahead and see. Yeah, we lost this fight. But if we look at the details over here, yeah, his Natalia march was insane. So as you look, even though we had like a healing reduction, she still managed to deal 40%. And let me tell you guys this. If you haven't focused on Natalia, if you don't know how OP she is, trust me, you have to get that officer. She is extremely OP. He had much better officers, but I like to think that we dealt a really solid work over here, simply because we took out all his other marches, and the only 2 marches that were left are the ones that are protected by Natalia and Abigail, which is, as I said, a very hard march to take out. Now, I'm satisfied with the results. That's completely fine, because we played it in a very good manner. And I hope you guys like the tips that we have given you in this video. We have 4 tricks that we also would like to share, so stay tuned as well for that. Now, for the first trick that I would like to share with you guys is a trick that I actually use more often, and I use more often at the early game, especially in Normandy Arena. So this trick is basically the timing of the battles that you have. As you guys know, every single day the battles reset, and you have 5 more battles in each of these plays. Sometimes you have 6 battles over here, depending if you have 6 battles, and depending on your VIP level, of course, and depending on the tickets that you have. But the thing that I wanted to mention is that there are the season rewards and there are the daily rewards. In order to secure some good daily rewards, what I would recommend is doing all your fights or all your runs before the reset by 4 to 5 minutes, so that you can actually get find players and then fast forward the battles. And this way you would ensure that even if there were some players online, the chances of them actually seeing you climb fast and hitting you at that point are very low, and you might end up having being in the top 10 or even the top 5 if you have some solid officers, and this way you would secure higher rewards in the game. I use this for both Normandy and Overlord. And speaking of, I do give you, I want to give you another trick that I do spend some gold during Overlord, especially when the season starts. Now, why do I do that? This is because simply I do believe that we can get a hell lot of honor points out of this if you do it. Now, what I do exactly is that once the season ends, immediately, like after 2 minutes, I start doing my battles, and then I do pay some gold in order to get that. So as you guys know, or as you can see, I kind of went a bit off in this one. Usually I only pay about 700 gold every season. So every week I pay 700 gold to get to a very high level, like top 100. You can get easily to top 200 in 700 gold, probably 800, and you would get to top 100. But this time I wanted to see where can I actually get, and I managed to get to top 10 in Overlord after exactly 5 minutes of the season starts. Obviously, you know, there are big spenders in the game, and they kind of pushed me back a little bit, but I stayed in the top 100 for a good 2 days, and that got me a hell lot of honor points, which I'm using right now to level up my officers. And why did I do that? Simply because servers started, and I wanted my officers to be at the top of their game before that starts. So this is exactly why I do that. And I do that every single week before the season starts, and it gives me a huge push to my officers. Now, for the third trick that I wanted to share with you guys is where to actually spend, and why are we talking about officers right now? Well, that is simply because every single day you will get some rewards for your ranking in Overlord and Normandy. So if you have a high ranking, you will be able to secure some very nice officer experience that will help you out with your growth much faster. And as you guys can see, I've already bought 64 of those 10k officer experience just from doing this technique. Sometimes on a weekly basis, I kind of reach the fact, like I buy about 90 of those, and that helps me a lot level up my officers, and it's kind of worth it in terms of the gold. If you like spend a little bit, if you are like a medium spender to a small spender, you can definitely like secure that. It's like costing probably $3 a week or something like that in terms of gold. And obviously, if you're gathering and being active on a daily basis, then it would definitely cost less than that. Even if you are a free-to-play player, heck, you can also do that every 2 weeks, for example. So every other week or every other season, you can definitely try this technique simply from the gold that you're getting as a free-to-play player. Now, from this shop, for the third trick, what should you buy from this shop? Now, the first thing that I know, like as a free-to-play player or as someone who hasn't reached a very high level of officers, I would not recommend buying this one, this one, this one, or this one. Simply because these 4 items over here, 2 of them are cosmetics. This one is extremely low value for the amount of honor points it has to, and the epic stars can be actually easily obtained from anywhere else. So these 4 items I do not recommend at all. The number 1 item, hands down, that I do recommend that has extremely high value and has the highest value in the whole shop itself is the 10k officer experience, which I do buy every single week, and I try to max out every single week. I buy about between 80 and 95 every single week of those, just because of what I'm doing. And also I get a hell lot of these from the daily ranking that would give me also some extra officer XP that I always use for my officers. Now, for the resources and the speed ups, I do recommend these situationally. If you are, for example, researching something big and you want to finish it as fast as possible for an event, you might be able to do that. Or if you're trying to push, for example, a HQ 25 or whatever, and you want some extra resources, you can also get those from here. They're not the best value in the game. Like, the speed ups are much better than resources in terms of value, but they're fine, you know? You can also get these as well. And for my final trick that I wanted to give you guys, which you will absolutely love, is what is a trick to get you guys extremely high points in the first day of Normandy Arena. Now, as you know, in Normandy Arena, if you fight another person, or if another person fights you and they lose the fight, you still gain 16 points or whatever points, like a certain amount of points, that will get you higher in the ranks. That means if you use another account and fight yourself, which you know that other account would definitely lose and you will, like, your main account will win, that means you will get some extra points for free. So this is exactly what I do. I use my farm account to win the first fight, which is versus a bot, as you guys might seen from before. And then the second fight, I look for my second main account, or my main account, and attack it with my farm account. And this way, my farm account would definitely lose, and my main account would get a 16 extra points. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can do this 2 times if you have 2 farm accounts, or if you have a friend that wants you, for example, if you like agree between each other that, hey, I would help you out this season, you help me out the next one, you can fight with your friend and make sure that you lose, for example, by putting less number of troops, and make sure that your friend actually wins that fight. And this way, you would gain some extra points in these events and get higher rewards for that. Of course, this is like not recommended for players that have lower officers than the others, like the others of the server, because simply if you climb up, the others then will attack you and then you would go down, unless you have some solid officers that can actually compete for the top 5. And this way you would know that, hey, I can compete for the top 5s, so why not get some extra rewards and get the top 1 in the game. So this is exactly what I did for the first probably 3 months that I actually played on this server, and I managed to win like top 1 probably in like 10 seasons or something. It was crazy, and I managed to win every single season top 1 just because of this technique, and also because I have some solid officers that kinda like made me stay at the top. And the thing about it is that once you stay at the rank 1, you'll be even getting more rewards, so your officers would even get stronger with time, and just goes on like that. So this was this was a hell of a long video. I'm really sorry about that, but there were so many things to talk about. I hope you guys liked it or learned something new out of this video, but I had to cover everything in this video, like in one video. I know this is gonna be a long one, but hey, I don't care. What's most important is that all the information is now out there, and I hope that you guys learned something new, liked it, and whatnot. If you liked this video, and if you want more guides in the future about officers, about not, leave me in the comments below your ideas or whatever guides that you guys want me to share with you on this channel. And also, if you like this, please make sure to hit that like button. It helps out a lot. It's free and it helps out a lot. And if you like the whole videos and the channels and the flow of these videos, also subscribe and hit that bell. Share it with your friends. It would absolutely mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching, and we will definitely see you on the next one. As always, Eagle out.